tonight. Chadema pays fines for 3 leaders to ensure their release from prison. Government budget projections estimated at 34.8 trillion shillings in the 2020-2021 financial year. And in sports, the Vodacom Premier League defending champions Simba Sports Club have got back to their winning ways after thrashing Singida United 8-0. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. Main opposition party Chadema has succeeded in making sure 3 out of 8 leaders who are sentenced to 5 months in jail or pay fines after Kisutu resident magistrate court found them guilty of 12 offences after released. Now, speaking in Dar es Salaam, the acting chairman of Chadema, Said Issa Mohammed, named the leaders who were released today as Halima Mdee, MP of Kawe, Esther Bulaya, MP of Bunda Urban, and Esther Matiko, MP of Tarime Urban, and that so far they have raised more than 234 million shillings from Tanzanians for the release of the party's leaders.
Tumia kiasi cha shilingi milioni 100.
We've spent 100 million to pay for the 3 ladies, which is the first group which will be released from prison. We have a card number of each and have paid at the bank and have received remove order. So this evening they will be released to come and help us in pushing the contributions so others, if possible by tomorrow, should be freed.
Kwamba ni kwa nini tumeamua kwanza kuanza na wanawake?
The reason why we've decided to start with the 3 ladies is because we believe that women make a powerful army, and we desire for Halima Mdee, Esther Bulaya, and Esther Matiko to be released so they can help us in raising funds to free others.
Kwa madhira haya ambayo tunayatendewa,
we must take ownership of what has happened to us so we find the resolution and help each other. I ask you for your continued support.
The government has announced budget projections for the 2020-2021 financial year of 34.88 trillion shillings and priorities which include improved revenue collection and disciplined financial expenditure. The government budget projections were announced by the Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Philip Mpango, in Dodoma, who said the budget will also go into organizing the general election.
Taking into consideration budgetary policies for the year 2020-2021, a total of 34.88 trillion is expected to be collected and spent. Proposal of the budget for 2020-21 has taken into consideration the cost of key big projects, payment of salaries and government debt, as well as meeting other national priorities. Contestants at various levels, Voters' National Electoral Commission, peace and security organs, electoral supervisors, the media and international observers who will be present in the country. That means election will observe the law and will be conducted peacefully.
I
urge the government that all government documents necessary are submitted on time and that ministers attend committee meetings according to respective timetables. I urge all ministers to adjust their schedule to meet that of the House of Parliament.
Travelers using the Kilosa-Mikumi Road in Morogoro region have continued to face challenges due to the poor state of the road at a Changarawe village in Masanze ward due to ongoing rains. Tanzania Roads Agency, in collaboration with residents, have joined forces in putting stones along the road so that it becomes passable.
Barabara imekuwa ni kero. Nimekuta gari ya Pepsi imekwama hapa na mimi kujaribu kupita tumekwama.
This road has been a problem. There is one vehicle that got stuck and I tried to pass through, but I got stuck too. I asked the government to help us because we are voters. It must get fixed. As you can see, things are not good. We're waiting to see how the government is going to help us. It is not just the road. Other areas have been damaged too. The area is not too long. I believe if we fix it, then this road will be safe all the way to Mikumi. This is the only challenging part.
The Minister of Land, Housing and Settlement Development, William Lukuvi, has directed district commissioners and directors of district councils to issue land ownership certificates to citizens who have houses, farms and commercial areas so as to enable the government collect more taxes. He gave the directive when addressing government leaders in Tanga region.
We will amend the law so every citizen who owns land to make sure that he is given a title deed. It must be so because we will begin to levy tax on any piece of land that he owns, whether there is a title deed or not. So people will begin to see the importance of having a title deed. Some of village and local officials give land without observing set rules and regulations. Some are given land more than 50 hectares, and in other cases, village officials invite investors with more livestock than space available.
The French Embassy, in collaboration with the EU in Tanzania, today attended a memorial for terror victims by calling on the international community to strengthen the fight against terrorism. The occasion was held in Dar es Salaam and attended by other members of the diplomatic mission in the country.
The European Union all together have elaborated the strategies to fight terrorism, and these strategies go, of course, on one hand towards security, but especially towards prevention and towards education. Because the only effective way of fighting terrorism is to prevent it.
Of course, terrorism does not only concern France. We also see it in other European countries, like in Germany and in Great Britain. It prevails in the Middle East, in America, on the African continent, or in Asia. Terrorism knows no borders. It became a global affair. We have to face a new form of terror.
Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has said that every Tanzanian has the responsibility of testing their HIV status in order to prevent the spread of new infections. Launching a campaign to fight gender violence under the National Council of People Living with HIV, NICOPA, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa urged religious leaders to recognize that they have a big role to play in ensuring they fight stigma and violence against women and children in society.
Sote kwa pamoja tuungane kukemea vitendo vya unyanyapaa.
All of us must speak against stigmatization and discrimination because the impact it has on our people. Everyone in his own capacity in this nation has a duty to speak against this so that we don't experience its impact in the future. I urge all spiritual leaders to continue to take care of us spiritually. Describing those infected as victims is also some form of stigmatization. Rather, we must describe them as individuals infected with HIV virus.
And that is the end of national news. International news follows shortly.
The Tanzania Communications Regulatory Authority, TCRA, is calling on all TCRA licensed service providers to participate in the TCRA ICT Awards 2020, which aim to award best service providers in the communications sector. TCRA will award best performers in the following categories: mobile network operators, radio and television, online content service providers, multiplex operators, internet service providers, and postal and courier operators. All TCRA licensees are obliged to participate in this competition for the public to evaluate their performance and commitment. Guidelines for participation can be accessed at www.ictawards.tcra.go.tz. All TCRA licensed service providers should submit participation forms by 15th of March 2020. For more information, please call 080-000-8272. Improve life through ICT for industrial digital economy.
Welcome back, and in international news tonight, Rwanda has launched aerial pesticide spraying by using drones in order to fight against malaria in the country. The campaign was launched by the Minister of Health, Dr. Ngamije Daniel.
Kutumia ndege hizo, Waziri wa Afya wa Rwanda Dr. Ngamije Daniel amesema kutumia teknolojia kuna faida kubwa kuliko njia za kawaida.
We shall use drones in distributing pesticides, unlike the previous method. We have decided to deal with mosquitoes from the habitants before they reach to us. This is a very good service, and I believe that we shall no longer suffer from malaria. The presidential race in Uganda has continued with 29 candidates who are vying for the post, so far submitting their nomination forms at the Electoral Commission. However, activists are concerned that the election will not be free and fair.
The list is growing every day.
The list is growing every day. So far, we have 29 candidates. What we do is explain to them regarding what they need to accomplish from the standard guiding documents.
We give a standard guiding document that, look, you are required, you can only do this.
12 people who had been quarantined, including a woman who has recovered from Ebola at an Ebola center in Bonzi, Beni, North Kivu in Democratic Republic of Congo, have been released. Since the outbreak in August 2018, the virus killed 2,264 people and infected nearly 1,200 more, making it the second worst Ebola outbreak in history. On my way home, I was caught by testing specialists who tested my blood and found out that I was not sick. I thank God that I have recovered from Ebola, and I pray to the Almighty God that no one should be found with this virus. It is not a good disease, and I will not wish for anyone to suffer from Ebola. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has said that it has received $100 million from donors to support the fight against locusts, who have continued to cause massive destruction of crops. Kenya has been badly hit by desert locusts, which have entered the country from Somalia.
The response so far that we have received from international partners is reaching up to 100 million. It is that money which is divided in the Horn of Africa in the affected countries to provide the support that we are supporting. But the final analysis and the details of what has been sent or spent on what aspect, something that will emerge at the right time.
Followers of political parties in Burundi have been called on to unite and strengthen peace and security as the country heads towards the elections on May 20th this year. The call was made by the Speaker of the Parliament, Pascal Nyabenda.
When foreigners brought to us multipartism, they did not mean parties that will divide us, but rather they are parties that will bring different perspectives to our countries as a means of fostering development. Every ruling party must know that there are competitors who are not there to cause chaos, but rather bring challenge for better leaderships. Most of the times, top government leaders have no problem, but followers, especially youth, are the ones triggering violence at time and point that is not right. We are calling on citizens to live peacefully with one another despite political affiliations.
Leaders from the European Union meeting today are promising to do whatever it takes to tackle the coronavirus outbreak, as Italy reported its biggest single-day death toll since the disease was first detected. To discuss the latest developments on the coronavirus outbreak in Europe, we have Deutsche Welle correspondent Kate Brady. Kate, can you give us an update on latest developments on coronavirus in Europe?
Well, of course, the situation here in Europe is developing very quickly at the moment. The number of cases is rising every day, as too is the number of deaths caused by coronavirus as well. And the main aim in Europe at the moment is to try and agree on a coordinated response to tackling coronavirus and also a coordinated response to prevent it from spreading further. Of course, at the moment, each country within the European Union is implementing its own measures, whether that be through school closures or closures of theatres, of large events. Football matches, for example, here in Germany are going to be played behind closed doors in several cases. And of course, people are looking to Italy as well, which has imposed some rather drastic measures, the most drastic within Europe at the moment, and the entire country is currently being quarantined. But of course, the economic impact of the coronavirus is also of huge concern here in Europe as well, and the EU Commission has now has rather pledged a 7.5 billion euro package really to support businesses affected by coronavirus, but that coordinated response is very much still a work in process.
So Italy is the worst hit country in Europe. How has the drastic measures taken by the government have been received?
Well, of course, people in Italy across the country are still coming to terms with their new way of life, which most people, having spoken to correspondents over there, are hoping will be over sooner rather than later. Of course, all schools and universities are now closed across the country. Many bars and shops are either closed completely or already closing by 6 p.m. on an evening. And just looking at pictures over the last couple of days of historic sites, visitor tourist attractions like Venice and Rome, for example, it's really quite eerie to see, and many people are talking of this surreal feeling that has settled into some of these cities where the streets are simply empty. But at the moment, the Prime Minister, Giuseppe Conte, says that this is what is necessary to help curb the number of cases of coronavirus in Italy and also in neighbouring countries, and of course to bring the spread of the virus to an end.
So what about Germany, home to Europe's biggest economy? How is the government dealing with the coronavirus outbreak?
Well, earlier today we had the third confirmed death from coronavirus here in Germany, and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel reiterated as well that the measures being taken at the moment in Germany, although not as severe as in nearby Italy, are very much in a bid to try and win time, to try and stop the coronavirus from continuing to spread. So one of the biggest recommendations here in Germany right now is that events where more than 1,000 people would be attending, it's been recommended that those are postponed or even cancelled. As I mentioned as well, football, of course, huge in Germany. Many of those matches in the Bundesliga are set to be played behind closed doors as well. That said, there are also, of course, as I mentioned, like EU-wide concerns over the economy. Germany, as you said, is Europe's largest economy, a huge export nation, and the government has now announced a €1 billion pledge to help fight coronavirus. But Merkel today, speaking here in Berlin, she reiterated as well some very basic advice which has been repeated time and time again by experts here, not only in Germany but worldwide, which is of course to keep up that public hygiene, personal hygiene, and of course keep those hands thoroughly washed.
All right, thank you so much, Kate. We're hoping for the world to conquer this fast and #1 killer whose impacts are a major threat to global economy. Thank you so much, Kate, for the updates.
Thank you.
And that is the end of international news. Business news follows next.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news. The coronavirus threat in some African countries has caused several companies from Sweden to cancel participation in a business and investment forum which aims to bring together member countries of the East African community and investors from Sweden. Tanzania is the host of the forum, which is expected to start on March 13th.
So far, I can't even tell you the exact number of investors who are coming. I'm praying to God that the ongoing coronavirus will not be the main factor for them to fail coming to Tanzania, since many of the investors have promised to confirm on last minute. Time has come for Tanzanians to participate in international trades. Meanwhile, companies that will come tomorrow will be from different levels.
Na wenzetu ya makampuni yatakayokuja kesho yanakuja kwenye ngazi tofauti tofauti.
The Ministry of Agriculture has started implementing an online farmers registration system which aims to facilitate services for farmers and to address challenges in accessing markets, payments for their crops, as well as extension offices.
13,000 farmers have been registered so far from both commercial to subsidiary farming. But we have started with farmers who are under board supervision, like cotton, cashewnut, sisal, and so on.
Teknolojia hasa ya mawasiliano inaweza kutumika kwenye kutatua.
Communication technologies can be used in solving different challenges faced in the agriculture sector. with the main focus being on small-scale farmers and value chain.
Focus kubwa ilikuwa kwenye mkulima mdogo, lakini focus zaidi pia ilikuwa kwenye value chain nzima.
The CEO Roundtable has said more needs to be done by companies to assess their policies in order to promote gender equality in the workplace and contribute to business and economic growth in the country.
Nimesema katika Tanzania yetu tumeona kuna maendeleo hasa mwaka huu umeona.
This year, Tanzania as a country has achieved several developments, with the number of investors also increasing at the CEO Roundtable.
Hii inaonyesha kabisa kwamba CEO Roundtable
This shows that CEO Roundtable is focused and strategized in ensuring gender equality, where today was a special day to discuss those issues.
kwamba siku ya leo tuangazie tu swala hili kwa ukaribu zaidi.
And that is the end of business news. Sports follows shortly.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose and then.
And in sports news, the Vodacom Premier League defending champions Simba Sports Club have got back to winning ways with a bang after thrashing bottom of the table side Singida United by 8-0 at Uhuru Stadium. The league leading scorer Mehdi Kagere had 4 goals, with birthday boy Uganda, captain John Boko and Sharaf El Shibub scoring 1 each. Now, moving on, that story is not ready for now. As we're moving on, the Deputy Speaker of the United Republic of Tanzania, Tulia Ackson, and the Minister for Information, Arts and Culture and Sports, Dr. Harrison Makembe, will witness the fight between Donald Mwakisu and Mwinyi Nzegela on April 12th in Mbeya.
There will be lots of preliminary bouts, and the main card will consist of 10 rounds. The others will have 6 rounds. Some other preliminary boxes are coming out for the first time, and so they will fight in 4 rounds. We ask you please to attend. Companies, this is the opportunity to promote yourselves.
Nafasi ndio hii ya kujitangaza.
Jurgen Klopp has issued a battle cry to his Liverpool players ahead of their quest to overturn a 1-0 defeat against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League.
First leg clash in Spain marked the start of uncharacteristic slump for Klopp's men, with losses to Watford and Chelsea taking the club's record to 3 defeats in 4 games after having previously lost just twice in all competitions until mid-February. Since then, a Premier League victory over Bournemouth saw Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah return to goal-scoring form ahead of tonight's matchup with Atletico at Anfield. But Klopp still admits that his players will have to be at their best to get past Diego Simeone's well-oiled unit. Another thing Klopp believes his charges need to look out for is Atletico utilizing football's so-called dark arts, with the Red Spurs believing that Mane was targeted by opposition players in Madrid, which ultimately resulted in the Senegalese being replaced at halftime following a yellow card.
And Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho has stated that RB Leipzig's entire bench of players would make his starting 11 as the Portuguese continues to struggle with a multitude of injuries to key players.
With a tough task of overturning a 1-0 Champions League loss suffered at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with Timo Werner having converted from the sport to give the Bundesliga title chase the edge. The Lily Whites were undone in humbling fashion, however, with the Red Bulls putting 3 past the travelling English side, courtesy of Marcel Sabitzer and Emil Forsberg. Mourinho had been forced into playing Dele Alli as his main striker, the England international flanked by Lucas Moura and Eric Lamela, with long-term injuries to Harry Kane and fan favourite Heung-min Song forcing the head coach's hand.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbo. Thank you for watching and good night.